Hello, BookTube, and welcome back. Well, it's spring, folks, and in the UK for the past couple of days, we've had quite decent weather. That nice sun as well, not that oppressive summer sun, oppressive sun in the UK. Yeah, okay, but yeah, as you can tell, I've gone red, red as all. Look at that. Every time there's a glimpse of sun, I will go lobster red, and then I'll peel like a snake. But fear not, we've gone back to typical British weather. I can see it out my window, overcast and slightly windy. And oh yeah, I've done something to my neck here as well. Do you know when you're so tired you can just fall asleep anywhere in any position? I think I woke up, like that, and I've done a twinge in me. Every time I'm on here now, I'm complaining, aren't I? Oh, me neck. Oh, I've wrecked me teeth. Oh, my hands. Yeah, but horrible twinge in the back of my neck here. So anyway, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing here? I'm doing a tag. I've been tagged by Saracen Salute. Cheers, matey. And what's the tag called? I can't remember. The Nonfiction tag, and it is 11 prompts in total. So, without further ado, let's begin. Question 1. What originally made you interested in reading nonfiction? I think I've mentioned time and time again in this channel, I was just a fantasy sci-fi reader way back when, and I was getting pretty bored of it, and I wanted to try something different. And I was like, okay, I'd like to read non-fiction, but back then I was thinking non-fiction equals reading Wikipedia, and it's breaking that link, isn't it? With that, oh, it's going to be dead dry. And I kind of went into it, okay, what am I interested in? Because at that time I did a lot of traveling around the world, and I thought, pick up a travelogue or a journey or something like that. And that's what got me interested in Bill Bryson. So I think Bill Bryson is an excellent entry point into nonfiction for anyone. And his travel logs, his memoirs, his history accounts. So it was just literally, and I think Will Ferguson, I got a lot of Will Ferguson as well. He's done a lot of Far East travels, like in Japan and China and whatnot. And he's got a very dry, that kind of British sarcasm, and I love that kind of stuff. And I've read all Will Ferguson's, and I've read all Bill Bryson's, and who wrote the Sex Lives of Cannibals? That's also good as well. That's a travel book. So yeah, I got strongly into travel books, and then from there I followed the Bill Bryson path of memoirs, and then history, and history is what I predominantly read right now. So it was literally, I'm getting bored of what I'm reading fiction wise. Let's take the quantum leap into non-fiction. And what did I love at the time? Still do now, but don't do anything much of it anymore. Traveling, Bill Bryson, Will Ferguson. And it's gone through my head, and I can't remember who was the author of the Sex Lives of Cannibals. He's done a couple as well, but it's gone. It's out of mind. So that's what got me into. That's what got me interested in reading non-fiction. Second one, do you read non-fiction mainly for curiosity, learning, or enjoyment? Well, learning can be quite dry, can't it? I mean, there's nothing wrong with learning, but learning to me is like university. I read a lot of non-fiction books when I was in university. So I think right now it's just in enjoyment, purely enjoyment, and you'll learn stuff on the way, but that's not the primary. I want to read this to learn. No, I don't. I also want to read for enjoyment. And of course, curiosity is mixed in with. You can't really separate any of the three of them out. Whatever non-fiction book you will read, you're going to encounter at least two of the three. Hopefully, you'll be curious of what you're going to read, but it is just for the sheer enjoyment of the game, rather than learning anything new. Because I can pick up a book, a non-fiction book that I know quite a lot about now. I mean, I've read all the major non-fiction books about the Vietnam War. So likely I'm not going to learn that much new. I mean, I've read them multiple times as well. Likely not going to learn anything newish from not a Vietnam book, but I'm curious if one comes out, and I kind of enjoy it in a kind of morbid sense of way, a kind of morbid way, yeah. Um, Question 3: what topic could you read endless non-fiction about? Endlessly. Um, Travelogues. As long as it's funny, it's a comedy travelogue, I can read tons of them. Uh, Again, military history. That's probably a lot of the history I read is predominantly military, but that can be. Uh, Sometimes you need a change of flavour, don't you, when you read quite a lot of military history. So yeah, it would be, like I said at the start, travelogues. I've got a lot of like food related books as well that I've read, which is, I don't really like. Do when people ask me, okay, what non-fiction books do you read? I never think of all the food ones because I've got tons and tons of food ones. I mean, the ones I'm looking at there now is a history of the cheese in the British Isles, a history of cuisine in France. But again, those books have got like a hint of comedy to them. I mean, if it was just a dry kind of cookery book, I won't be interested. So it's got to have that bit of a comic flavour to it. Oh, and I'm also interested in. I don't know why, because I pretty much don't believe in any of them. Is conspiracy books. I mean, the one I've got there right now is an inconvenient death. Or what I'm looking at now is an inconvenient death. I mean, okay, yeah, there's some conspiracies that I'm like, JFK and the King's definitely a reptile. And Epstein, oh dear. Yeah, so it'll be books with a comic flavour to them. I think the best way to describe what I can just read endlessly of, and especially if it's about just travelling to different countries and getting into all sorts of shenanigans and malarkey. Um, Question number 4: how did you usually discover non-fiction books? I don't know if I'm sorry to say this now, or it literally is because I'm predominantly a Kindle reader now, or ebook reader. It's whatever it suggests to me next and the price point. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's proper tasty. Oh, it's a £16. Is it £16? I'm going to pay £16 for a digital copy. I don't think so. So it is right now a purely what the Kindle suggests to me. Trying to think of any other. No, it is purely or not Goodreads. What's the equivalent of Goodreads, which is better? That I've brain farted on at the moment. What's the app called? Oh, Storygraph. Yeah, Storygraph. So the Storygraph basically does what Goodreads or your Amazon suggestions will do. We go, oh, you enjoyed this book, do these next 4 books, and then you've always got like a weird vampire book in the middle. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm interested in urban fantasy about vampires. I'm not. So that's how pretty much I find my next book. Mm-mm-mm. Do you follow authors or topics when choosing non-fiction? Not really. Kind of. Actually, no, that's complete crap, isn't it? I do. Hence, all the Bill Bryson up there. So I'm definitely, if I enjoy an author, I will proper binge that author, regardless of. I mean, Bill Bryson again. It's travelogue, it's history, it's biography, isn't it? So it covers a lot of genres. And I do like Max Hastings as well. Max Hastings does a lot of military history, World War One, Two, Korean War, Vietnam War. And I really enjoy it. He does good overviews of wars, and yeah, so I am a bit of an author deep divist. And what was the other one? Or topics again? The Vietnam War. Read tons about. World War Two. I read a lot about. The Crusades. I read lots about. So I do have my own niches. I certainly do, but a lot of the times I'm like, I need something different. I need something different, but I've definitely got niches. Pardon me. I can't remember. So, do you feel I've done that one? So, number 6 is what non-fiction book stuck with you long after reading it? I should have planned this before. Do you know what books that usually stay with me, and they're not really the favourite books to read, because they stay with me in a kind of like kind of a way, is books like real life murders and whatnot. Looking at serial killers and stuff like that. I've read, again, it's another topic that I like reading about it, but it certainly stays with me. I mean, for instance, you got the famous one about Charles Manson here. Helter Skelter, about, he was a cult leader, Charles Manson, one, and led to the murders of Sharon Tate. So, and then, stuff like in non-fiction military as well, like Kill Anything That Moves, proper graphic stuff that will visually stay in your mind. And especially when you read about serial killers, you're like, there's somebody out there doing those horrendous things. And what was the one I read recently about Palestine? What was it called? 100 Years War. What? See, I've read the British and the Scotch, the 100 Years War. And there's another book, I think it's 100 Years of War. It's about Palestine, which is, equally gut wrenching. And then you got silly conspiracy stuff like this as well, like An Inconvenient Death. That's Dr. David Kelly. He was a UN inspector who was found dead in the woods after saying Saddam Hussein didn't have WMDs. He was found dead, and that book's going through all the kind of, did he kill himself or was he assassinated? All the usual suspects turn up in those kind of books, and do I believe it all? No, but it's certainly that juicy, and it makes you think after you've read it. So again, it's more like books that stick with me, or like the gut wrenching books or the horrific books that will last in my mind. I can't remember what I've just done. So I'm on question number 7. What topic have you learned the most about through books? You see, I don't want to keep on mentioning like the military history that I've read. I do like to read a lot about the cosmos. Brian Keane, Brian Cox, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I try and understand cosmology. A lot of it does go over my head. So yeah, a lot of like physics, a lot of astrophysics. I try and understand it. Even that's what I do like as well. Again, I guess where I'm sticking here is not the sciencey kind of books, because I do like to read about people who have been in accidents, and then from the accidents how the brain makeup has changed. And a good example of that would be the man who mistook his wife for a hat. And I'm sure I've got the book in here, and that's what I'm trying to find. No, that's not it. Oh, I did have that. I must have got rid of it. It's a good book anyway. It's a study of neurological orders, and the book is named after a man who, mistook his wife for a hat. That's what the book is called. Yeah. So any of that kind of stuff, anything to do with biology, really interested in. A metric ton of nature books. I've got an honours in zoology, so I'm very much into animal biology. I've got the Wisdom of Wool straight up there. I've got Metazoa, which is looking at really early animals in the Cambrian. Sciencey books, I guess. Even in the really hard science books to understand, and the likes of astrophysics, I love them. They don't love me. Question 8. What non-fiction book made you curious about something unexpected? Okay, okie dokie. Something curious about something unexpected. This is when I do need to plan what I'm gonna say. Oh, I'm stumped by that one. I am stumped. I'll come back to that one. Let me think about that while I'll ramble on the next questions. So something made you something curious about something that you're unexpected. What made me pick up those computer game books? I can't remember whose biography I was reading. I don't think it was Steve Jobs. Or it was that kind of. Oh, I read a biography and I can't remember that. I think it was Steve Jobs. And it was talking about the computer game industry and the stresses of the computer game industry and how, the projects are short lived and can be very stressful and can be absolutely a disaster. So I thought, oh, that sounds kind of curious. So I've picked up several books about I think one of them was Blood, Sweat and Pixels, which looks at 10 games, fairly well known video games as well, like Shallow Knight, Destiny. I think World of Warcraft's in there as well, and it just shows the absolute cluster of the leading a project of trying to get a game from the beginning to the market and all the things that could possibly go wrong, and corruption, all sorts of good stuff. And I've really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Blood, Sweat and Pixels. So I guess that can be the answer for question 8. Question number 9. What topic would you recommend anyone to explore at least once? Do you know what? Nature books in the fashion that Robert McFarlane does. Really decent, lyrical, poetic person, Robert McFarlane, and he tries to link us with nature in that kind of sense. And his books are beautiful, and it's well worth a read. And it's basically reconnecting ourselves with the natural environment. I recommend anybody to read Robert McFarlane. He's an excellent author. The one up here, if I can never get it, here we go. Is it Underground, Underland? It's about everything that's under our feet as we walk. And as I said, he's got a very, a poetical way of writing, and it does pull you in, and it's gripping. I love me some Robert McFarlane. Everybody should just check it out. Question number 10. What non-fiction book would you recommend to curious readers? Get out of here. Reading's not for you, it's for me. Curious readers. See, I don't want to say anything that I've not already said. Maybe books about political corruption, but again, that's too dry. I mean, I've got a lot of Chris Hedges, how people profit off war and stuff like that. But I think, in today's environment, people really need to pick up books about political corruption, how our governments actually work. So if you're a curious reader, pick up something that a critic of your own government writes about. Some things might shock you. And the last one is question number 11. What non-fiction book would you give someone who says they don't like non-fiction? Do you know what? I'm just going to go full circle. I'm going to go for obviously light reading. a weeing book. But again, it's tough without actually knowing the person, right? What their interests are and whatnot. So if it's purely service level, you don't know what this person's interested in, and you're not going to ask the question, "What are you interested in?" Like a light book, maybe a funny book. Um, again, I was introduced to nonfiction with Bill Bryson, but I don't think Bill Bryson's for everyone. So it is finding what they're interested in, and again, don't give them a tome. Don't give anybody something like that. There you go. Oh, you're into the English monarchy, are you? Here you go. There's a book about Henry II. So a fairly small book. Do you know what this is? Maybe books like this about the natural world. I mean, the wisdom of wolves. What's the names again? Jim and Jamie Dutcher. These two guys spend their lives living with a pack of wolves. And again, look at it. It's only 200 pages. If there's pictures, you get to learn about the wolves in this book, and it's written very, it's very light-hearted. It's very introductory. No one's gonna blow your head off in here. It's just their experiences living with this pack of wolves, and all the different wolf behaviour, and they're all different. So I think out of all the ones I can possibly feel, out of all the non-fiction in the world, something like that, something small, something light, something that people can just polish off in a summer day, something like that. And I believe that is all 11 questions in the non-fiction tag. And I'll sign out. See you later, BookTube.